listening to the Moist Boys Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Moist Boys Podcast. I don't have anything clever to say here.
Is this going to be another special?
No.
Very special episode?
No, it's not very special.
Oh,
it's kind of special, though.
It's kind of special.
A little bit special, though.
Special to me.
We have a special guest.
There we go.
Yeah.
See?
The guest is special. The episode. I'm gonna start us off rated subpar, and then we'll go from there.
Middling to fair. Checks out.
But yes, this is the Moist Boys Podcast, and today, or whatever, on this episode, I keep saying the day, even though days are nothing.
On this, our Lord's Day.
But on this episode, we're talking about a little film that we all recently became available with.
Oh, I'm always available for this film.
The Emperor's New Groove,
Hell yeah.
the new film from Disney Plus, available now.
Please sponsor us, Disney.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
I'll make this a Disney Plus podcast.
Hell yeah.
I have no shame when it comes to being paid to do things.
Oh, we all know, Josh.
It cracks me up with Disney Plus because my roommate is like got super serious FOMO, fear of missing out, because she's like, oh, like all my friends are posting about Disney Plus and I'm not watching it, but I don't care. And I'm like, you care. You care.
I mean, as someone who's also trying to say they don't care, I care. I care very much.
We know you care.
I always care.
But I'm Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fucking nailed it.
Why do we let you back?
I don't know. My name is and always has been Harley.
I'm Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
I'm JP.
I'm the best bro, Heather.
Best for Heather.
And I'm Jonathan.
Boo.
Accurate. You're not.
I'm going to let Jonathan intro our, as I mentioned, a special guest who actually selected this episode. I'm going to let him roll through the bona fides because he's more familiar than I am.
Oh, so fancy.
Of this movie?
No,
No,
of our
of
special
JP.
guest.
Oh, come on.
I don't know who I am. You got to tell me.
Yeah, come on.
We're professionals
We're
here.
nailing it.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, you can't come at me with your little French.
No, okay, you're done now.
What's wrong with French? My name is French.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't.
And I'm
don't-
French Canadian. What do you got? Are you trying to start a fight here,
Oh, there's a
Jonathan?
lot of stuff we got against French Canadians.
I mean, even
Let's
French
start.
Canadians don't like French Canadians, so I get it.
True.
Cool. So welcome to our very special guest, JP,
Thank you.
who a lot of Tacoma natives may know.
Tacomians?
Tacomians.
Tacomites.
That's
Ooh, is that what it is?
Tacomies?
I don't think I like it.
Tacomies.
I like Tacomies.
That's terrible, and I hate it. Thank you for that.
I vote no to both.
No, checks out.
But yeah, if you are in the local the local music scene, there's a good chance that you probably know who JP is.
I was going to say, you're making me sound a lot more popular than I feel. I'm like, does everybody know me? Who am I? What's going on?
I mean that.
So, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff with music, but that's how we know each other is through booking and a venue at Real Art Tacoma. So that's how we know each other.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So JP, why did you pick Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah.
So I was going through your list of things that you were interested in talking about. I was like, ooh, I could talk about this, but I don't know how deep I can go into each of these. And then John was like, well, like, what are some of like your favorite movies? And I was like, well, if I was just going to pick, I listed a couple of like obscure ones. It's like, oh, but if the one that people may know is Emperor's New Groove, because that's the one that like I know every line, every word.
Nice.
And I'm just like, I make references to it in my daily life. It's just part of me. So
I feel like that's a big thing of like people that know that movie, love that movie, and
Fucking
everybody
love
else doesn't know that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things that like is so underrepresented just by Disney themselves.
I feel like they kind of want to forget that it even happened, which is
Because
strange.
they made it and then we're like, ugh, that was a movie.
Yeah.
Next.
it happened.
Yeah, but it is one of those things that like everything about it is super quotable. There are just so many quotes in it that you can just relate to anything in your everyday life, and like in this, like, I'm in the same boat. Where it's like, yeah, something will happen, and then I'm just like the first thing that pops up into my head will just be a quote from that movie. For a long time, it was the same thing with like Napoleon Dynamite had that same effect on me for a long time as well. But we're not talking about that fucking movie. No, we're talking about The Emperor's New Groove.
Hell yeah, we are.
The Emperor's New Groove aged better than Napoleon Dynamite.
It did.
I mean, at all. Like, it didn't, like a year later, people just didn't throw it back into the hell pit from whence it came.
It doesn't live in the $5 bin. Emperor's New Groove does it.
I think I've
Napoleon
seen it.
Dynamite.
I feel like I've seen it in a $5 bin.
Where can you even get it aside from Disney Plus now?
We picked it up at a garage sale.
I was going to say
Totally legal
thrift
online
stores?
venues, obviously. You know,
I only remember it being a VHS. I don't think I even got the DVD when it came out.
it did get a DVD.
I think
Yeah,
I
it
think you
did.
got DVD
We have it.
and Blu-ray. I think you got.
I think we have the 2-pack Blu-ray.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow.
We just
I
threw
know,
that
we're so
second disc
fancy.
out the window.
How dare you? It's obviously the superior of the two films.
Yeah, but we got ours from like the Disney mail.
Yeah, the movie club thing where you get like the movies.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There's a Disney movie club.
Oh, what the fuck?
Okay,
is
At
that?
least there was until they released their own streaming service.
Yeah, I don't think they do it anymore.
R.I.P. to that.
Was it
Physical
around
media in general?
the same time that they were mailing stuff out with like Netflix when it was around?
No, maybe. I don't know. We bought into it because it's something that like you can buy. So they give you a deal and it's like you can have 5 DVDs for
We got like
$1.
7 for $1 each in
Yeah.
our first like thing, and they're like, and you only have to buy 4 more within the year in order to like
keep it active. And
keep
we're
in a
like,
good
cool.
standing.
And then they were like, oh yeah, but by the way, it's going to be $5 to $10 more than Target would charge you.
Yeah, and like they every month they'd be like, this is the movie of the month. Do you want this movie? And we'd be like, no. Or what would happen is we would forget about it, which is how we ended up buying Doctor Strange. Not mad. And Infinity War. Again, not mad. Although we bought
I
the
think
like
we did it on purpose.
no, both of those we forgot.
One of
about
the
it.
ones, it was Aladdin 2 and 3. We accidentally bought Aladdin 2.
Oh yeah,
and
God, we
3.
accidentally bought a lot of movies with this.
It's
Was
okay.
Return of Jafar and
King of Thieves.
yeah.
Yes. King of
Jafar
Thieves. is
Strikes
great.
Back.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to have to do a whole.
Unfortunately, none of those movies are The Emperor's New Groove. So, has anyone watched it on Disney Plus yet, or am I the only one?
I think you might be the only one because we had the movie already, so like we would watch it that way.
I unfortunately do not yet have Disney Plus, but I do want to get it.
How did we let you on this podcast? This is the Disney Plus podcast.
Sorry, Disney.
Well, I did watch it on Disney Plus, and I'll have to say, much like everything else I've seen on Disney Plus so far, it looked really good. Like
Nice.
Disney Plus, they haven't like everything else about the app is kind of terrible, but the video they got the video quality, which
And
That's
there goes our
important.
endorsement.
Yeah. Is it in the right aspect ratio, or is that just a Simpsons thing?
That'll be a different conversation.
Okay,
There's
check it
actually a few things I've noticed where they've if they upgrade it to HD, they'll cut it to 16:9.
Yeah.
But then if it's in 4:3, then it'll be like sub 480p.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like, anyway, you got me started.
Right. Sorry. I know. I just
but,
gotta go check it out for myself. For sure.
But Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was 16:9 HD, which kind of looks weird because it's supposed to be in 4:3, and they didn't reframe it. They just chopped off the top and the bottom and blew it up. But it's an HD.
no.
Sounds about right.
But Tailspin is in 4:3, but it's not great. It's not great quality.
That's
So,
unfortunate. Hey, at least it's available.
but Emperor's New Groove looked great, and it sounded great.
And it's also what we're talking about today. Hey.
Yeah.
so the Emperor's New
Yeah.
Groove.
Should someone
Groove.
walk us through what the film was about?
The film is about a little person known as David Spade, which I realize as I say it, like he is uncomfortable with his height. So sorry, David Spade, to come on our podcast, and I'll apologize in person.
Sorry, David.
Oh no! I'm line in the sand right now.
I mean, if we're gonna have
David
anyone
Spade
on this,
is not coming on this podcast.
If we're gonna have any member of this cast on the podcast,
I mean, that's at the bottom of the list. Well, second to the bottom, I would say probably be in poor taste to get Eartha Kitt on here.
Oh yeah,
all right, bless her heart.
but I would say John Goodman
Yeah.
Patrick Warburton.
Ooh, that's your order?
And then literally anybody
Anyone else, like
and
anyone
then
else
at
would
the
be
very
super
bottom,
cool.
like we get extras on here before
Yeah.
we get David Spade.
Like the best boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to say that Patrick Warburton is my spirit animal when people would ask.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and this was the film that kind of, I think, pushed him into mainline visibility, right? Like, I can't really think of anything besides, I think maybe The Tick was before this, right?
Yeah, he did a lot of smaller projects
Yeah.
and a lot of like supporting roles.
Right.
This is kind of where he kind of like hit his groove, I think.
Hey, there it is. We made it. All right. Podcast
let's wrap it
over.
up.
Yep, there we go. We got it.
So yeah, I think as far as having this movie aging, I think the one negative is setting it in a real place with a real historical civilization,
Checks out.
but not actually reflecting that at all.
At all, like any sort of cultural accuracy.
Which is a shame, because like if they had done one more pass on the script and just found and deleted the names of everything and just slipped in fantasy,
Just random.
yeah, I think that might be a small part of it. Is that having this be, what is it,
Should someone
Well,
Aztec, or is it
It was Incan, I think.
Incan?
Yeah. The thing about that though is it's a double-edged sword, because at that time there wasn't a whole lot of Mesoamerican portrayals and representation in Disney.
That's true.
And as part Mexican myself, like that was really a big deal for me back then, because it was like, oh yeah, this is the culture.
Yeah.
And not having a lot of it was nice. It would have been nicer if they had, taken the extra steps. But back, what was it?
No, 2000.
2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We weren't as, I don't think we were as aware of
yeah.
sensitivities.
It was building up to the representation versus now looking at it retrospectively. Like obviously everything would be better with more accuracy, but just
Yeah.
getting anything. That's interesting.
By the way,
never
I think
thought
it's
about
called woke. We weren't woke yet, y'all.
Which is ironic, because this movie did go broke, even though it wasn't, which is the opposite of what you're led to believe.
Yeah.
The making of this movie is actually pretty interesting. I've watched a few like behind the scenes things, and like this was like the 5th or 6th iteration of this movie that they
Really?
like. Originally, it was going to be a lot more like accurate, and they were going for like an actual like representation of that. But then as things slowly
Did the main character
were
still
going
get
along,
turned into a llama or?
yeah, like that was the same.
Okay.
It was that and the location, I think.
Yeah.
And everything else was completely different.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I think Aladdin became popular, and that kind of everyone was like, it's been a while since we've had an Aladdin style hit. And how about we do that, but in this time period?
Yeah.
Well, Aladdin was like 92 or 3.
Yeah, like a decade.
So that would have
before.
been, that
only
would meant
60.
this movie was on hold for a while then, right?
I mean, animation takes a lot of time, especially
Yes,
like,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, everything was still. I mean, I guess when did things stop becoming hand drawn? Like, do you think this was?
it was the film after this one.
Yeah.
Was like, I think this was the second to last hand animated Disney movie they made.
Yeah.
This was the one that killed it for him for a while.
Well, Home on the Range killed it off dead.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the movie that I keep seeing, and I'm just like, I refuse to watch this.
Wait,
because
I haven't even heard of that. Is that the cow?
Exactly.
Is that the one with the cow?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the cow one.
it's like 3 cows.
That's cool.
But as like a throwback, like wacky comedy.
Yeah.
I think they hit a lot of the right notes.
I mean, again, I think I watched this movie in the last like 6 months just because I ended up being by myself at my wife and I's apartment, which was like, okay, yeah, why not? It's on Netflix, cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I watched it like unironically and quite enjoyed it in a way that I didn't even I think remember enjoying it. Like probably my first few go arounds when I was probably more within this film's like actual target demographic.
Well, when this movie came out, I was 12.
Yeah.
And I remember
So I was like 5.
Yeah, okay, Harley, I'm a fucking old man.
Your words, not mine.
But I remember when it came out, like we rented it for like my birthday party that year.
From like Blockbuster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely from Blockbuster.
Do we have a block? I don't know if we had a Blockbuster way back then.
Yeah, we did. There was the one that was within walking distance that we went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we always got movies from there. But
Backstory. Interesting.
backstory, yeah.
Back when VHSs were still the thing.
Yeah. But I remember like this movie came out in like a weird point for me because like as soon as I hit that 12-year-old mark, I just became pretentious as fuck.
What
I know,
I was
right?
To say that didn't really change.
What a shock.
I mean, yeah, no.
That's where it started.
And they never grew out of it.
Exactly. Hey, there it is.
It's been on an uptake ever since then.
Yep.
It's more and more. But I remember this movie coming out and me being very much in the like,
Too old for cartoons.
yeah. I was like,
Boo.
I'm 12. Like,
Yeah.
But then like we rented it and I watched it and I was like, oh, this movie's fucking great.
Yeah, because it slaps.
Yeah.
It's snarky. Like
It
when
is,
you're
yeah.
a preteen, like that snark and sarcasm, like
Yeah. I mean, David Spade basically is every 12-year-old ever. Like, that's just
Yeah.
what you become. What
he
you're
actually
To this day.
played a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
What was that? Where he was an actor trying to relive his childhood or something?
Oh.
Which one was that one?
Oh, I do not remember the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Not great. Not great film.
This is probably David Spade's best non-Chris Farley
Yes.
film role.
Yeah.
And then it has the advantage of not having to look at.
Yeah, you can just pretend like it's just somebody else. It's great.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to keep my like ragging on David Spade. Like I'm gonna try to tone it down.
It's kind of road at this point. Like we all know.
Like we all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has a TV show and we don't. So like, who's really winning here?
That is not untrue. Yeah.
Everybody in this cast is great. You had a lot of the other name actor that we haven't mentioned, Wendy Malick from
Oh.
David Spade's
from
Just Shoot Me. Yeah,
Wait, really?
yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sitcom that time forgot.
Oh.
I guess when magazines stopped being popular, people just didn't care anymore.
Checks out.
What died first, magazines or Just Shoot Me? Probably Just Shoot Me by like a year or two.
Probably something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. That was a show that like, I know at least for me, I was way too young to be watching that show, but still did.
Yeah.
And there was like so much of the humor was like, I think I get this, but if I laugh, am I going to get in trouble? Because my mom is sitting right here watching it too.
Probably, yeah.
Like, yeah. Like there was so many things where like, anytime there was any sort of like, referential humor dealing with like sex or anything like that, I always be like, haha, I get it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No, I don't, Mom.
No, I don't.
Well, like every scene was intercut with, because it was like a People magazine style thing. And then, but every episode had its own magazine cover. And every like scene transition was different jokes on the cover of the magazine that were
Yeah.
always like double or triple entendres. So like, yeah, laughing at those was kind of off the table for us. So
Yeah.
that was,
She was also an actress in the series The Emperor's New School, which ran from 2006 to 2008.
There you go.
There you go. I remember that show.
Look at that.
I think one of the other things that for me now is a strength of this film, but at the time was probably a weakness, was that most of the jokes aren't based around children.
Yeah.
Like there's some slapstick stuff, but a lot of it is David Spade being David Spade.
I feel like it's pretty universally accessible. I don't know. It's funny for kids, funny for adults. And I mean, I think as a kid, yeah, I mean, as we've been talking about, like, it's the kind of humor that makes you kind of feel like, oh, this is kind of heady because I'm 12 and
Yeah.
I'm laughing at an adult joke. So suck it, Mom.
Well, by child, I mean like Disney's target demographic of
yes.
like 3 to 11-year-olds. Like
Yeah.
a 4-year-old, I don't think will get most of the jokes in
No,
here. Like
no.
they'll be wondering why people are standing around talking for large chunks of it,
yeah.
throwing out the jokes.
Yeah. And like this, I can't imagine this movie working if you change any one of those top 4.
Oh no.
Like, Pacha's Wife, Aces.
Yeah.
And again, like, so that top 5, like, change any one of those, this movie does not work anymore.
For sure.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they literally, like, it was the perfect cast for what they were trying to get across for all those characterizations. So
I loved that whole family dynamic too.
Right?
Like it was a really like real portrayal, even though it was like supposed to be like a historical like way back when thing. It felt very modern, and like the kids like bickering with each other, like no, no,
yeah,
like when you have siblings, that's how it is, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
so it was just like But I also thought it was interesting that they would later go on. Patrick Warburton and David Spade would do Rules of Engagement.
yes,
And I'm like, it's got some of that like back and forth still,
mm-hmm.
but it's not quite the same. It's more adult, right?
Yeah.
Because it's talking about being married and whatnot. And so it was weird because like, when did that come out? I actually just had it. No. But in that time, it's like, well, I'm not there yet either, but this is interesting, informative, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you did ask about the aspect ratio earlier, and it's in a strange aspect ratio because it's like 16:8, I want to say, or something like that on Disney Plus, because it goes all the way to the top of the screen like on TV, but it doesn't go all the way to the sides, which is interesting. Yeah,
That's weird.
it's a different, but I think it frames it really well.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Year 2000 though, 69 may not have been standardized. I'm trying to think back to what.
I don't think it was like 2005 or 6.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe there was maybe the standards weren't set yet.
Yeah, and like theater screens also weren't like standardized, because you go to a different movie theater than you used to, and like the screens are always different.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days, 20 years ago, back when movie theaters still pretended that they were actual theaters, so they would have like fake curtains off to the sides of the screens,
right? Give me that.
And then you would have a lot of theaters would have.
Heather, did we run out of chloroform? Or
He just wants to give his hot take. He also likes this movie.
it checks out. I mean, we probably should get the opinion of the only person in this room who actually is the target demographic of the film.
No, as we've established, he is too young still.
He's still too young.
I guess that's
I was
true.
saying that's what he should be watching right now.
Yeah,
not what he
right?
is watching.
Yeah, it's set him up right.
He picked his movie.
It's-
He's just mad he doesn't have popcorn.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering. So I'm trying to think, like, driving over this morning, I was trying to think, like, what is really the moral of the story that they're trying to tell? And, like, how would a child watching this, like, how would they take from it? Because obviously it's like you have Kuzco, you have David Spade's character, and he's kind of this stuck up, kind of bratty kid who just gets whatever he wants.
Right.
And I guess, like, what is the takeaway?
Llamas are cool.
Checks out.
Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Creepy old ladies are evil.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Oh, I guess I don't know. I feel like for the majority of like Disney films, and a lot of their Disney animated films, like there was a very like cut and dry, like this is the situation this person's in, this is the journey that they go through, and this is how they come out and have somehow changed their character.
It's a be less selfish.
I guess.
But
Yeah.
the problem is that lesson is not one you can teach to, again, the general demographic, right?
Yeah.
Kids don't learn empathy until a little bit later in their lives. And
They're
so
mid 40s.
I mean, I still don't have I'm still getting there. Absolutely.
I don't think kids learn empathy until they're like 7 or 8 or something like that. It's a lot longer than you would think until they have that. And so this moral of the story really isn't for that really young Disney generation. And I think that's okay, because this is one of those films that isn't meant for that 3 to 5 to 6 year old. It's meant for those older kids. And I think that that's mainly because there was a big shift in Disney where they started making slightly older films. You know, the movie Bennett happens to be watching right now is Cars. And Cars is, again, one of those ones where it's really cool to watch when you're young, when you're his
Like,
age.
visually stunning,
it's
but-
cool, but it's really meant to have a lesson that you learn later.
Yeah.
And Disney really shifted themselves to do that more. You know, Frozen's lesson isn't one you learn when you're 3 or 5. It's one you learn when you're 9.
Yeah.
You know, this was the beginning of that shift.
And that's exactly what I was trying to like. That's where I was going.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's perfect. I would rather not be the one to talk.
You don't want to be the moral center of this podcast?
Absolutely not. I am not at all equipped. Or
If you are, then we just need to shut the whole thing down.
I was gonna say, yeah, but I think that's kind of that was the direction that's the question I was trying to ask, is that like I feel like this is the first film in that shift in their, like, as Josh said, like their target demographic. Like, this is not made for the chitlins really anymore. This is made for like teens and on, and should be accessible just by visuals alone. But
you know, it still is made for that Like I said, Bennett's almost 4, and he loves it. But that's because it's a goofy llama running around. There's panthers, there's chipmunks.
I was gonna say the squirrel.
The squirrel. There's creepy old ladies.
Yeah.
There's funny things, but there's, like we've talked about, there's a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to get until later. It took till I think, I don't know, a couple of years ago watching it that I realized that Krunk's got a tent.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He literally is pitching a tent,
yes.
guys.
Yes.
And it took until my 20s to be like, I get it. That's hilarious.
No, it's just because he's really tall.
He's just really big, and he only packed a tiny tent, and that was where it went. He just like,
I mean, you know,
yeah, like
it happens.
yeah.
Whom amongst us has not accidentally pinched a small 10?
I mean,
Hi.
not accidentally. I mean, that's really my only choice, Josh.
I can't.
Womp womp.
You're not missing anything.
You know what? You guys still get to stand when you pee. That's all I have to say.
That's what you think.
Just because if you choose to sit down, that's fine. But you get the option.
It's just so much more comfortable, too.
Right? Okay. This isn't a conversation.
This is not the
This is another
conversation.
conversation I'm not equipped to have at this point in time. But
I really like what you said though, because it is very silly.
Yeah.
But then it has those quips, and I think when we watch Disney now, like as they're moving forward, like you see that stuff that hits like on all centers. Like, yeah, you have that silly, great thing to watch, and then you also have the stuff that adults can go, ha, like,
yeah,
I got it, and so it's fun for everybody.
I feel, and that's exactly, I feel like the film that always gets recognized as being kind of the first to present that is Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
But this film came out prior, obviously, correct?
Maybe like a year prior.
I was going to say. And so I feel like this film doesn't really get the credit that it's due for like offering up that sort of...
It doesn't get the credit it's due for
At all.
At
Oh, no.
anything. It's one of the
Yeah.
most unrepresented Disney films you'll ever watch in your life.
I mean, my initial reaction when I heard this was a topic of the podcast was that's a Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure
It's
if it was
it's
some...
unrepresented. It's unrepresented. And again, you either, like Jonathan said, you either know it and love it, or you don't know it.
Yeah.
Because I have never met somebody who has seen it and not been like, oh, I freaking
great.
love that
Yeah.
movie.
I think it's interesting that you brought up Shrek though, because Shrek kind of leaned into the crude, whereas I don't think Emperor's New Groove really goes into that so much.
No, they
that's-
really don't.
That's the thing that I feel like Disney nails more than any of the other like movie companies that do that. Like, it's a kids movie that adults can also watch. Is that like, especially in a movie like this, where like the humor that's not aimed at kids is a lot smarter than something like Shrek, where it's just like, that guy farted.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't fucking care about fart jokes. Like,
That's not the jokes in Shrek that are meant for adults. It's the
That's the thing,
Farquaad
yeah.
compensating for something jokes. And here they do have, again, those adult jokes, but again, they're smarter.
It's
you
a
know?
lot more
It's
intellectual, yeah.
it's the mazel tov to the new wedding couple of like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting life for you, buddy. You know, it's the smaller jokes, but they're smarter and they're just, again, they're not so crude.
Yeah.
They're
subtle.
just, they're funny, quippy, not like there's some of them are dirty, but they're not gross dirty.
No.
like one of my favorite scenes in this movie is probably when Yzma and Kronk are like locked in the closet at Potch's house, and
Eyes.
like her eyes,
Her
and
eyes
like
are the best thing.
yeah, and her just being like, "Let us out, and we'll burn the house down." Shouldn't that be, or you'll burn the house down?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and like all of the interactions between like getting Kronk, who is this giant mountain of a man, interacting with children who are just like 100% on his level, but are like above his level because they manipulate him. It's so good. Like I love like character based juxtaposition and stuff like that.
Yeah. This has got one of my favorite breaking the fourth wall scenes too, where they very much talk about the fact that they're probably in a movie right now, because it's how did we, they're racing back to the castle, and Kronk and Yzma beat Pacha and Kuzco, and they're like, wait, how did we do that? Kronk and him like pulling down a map and being like, it beats me. Like, haha, get it? Because we're in a movie and movies do this.
Yeah.
I also really loved Kronk's action sequence where he's like narrating his own like, theme song.
Yeah, it's so good. That was the moment when I first watched it where it was like I was just rolling on the floor laughing. Like, again, being this like, oh, I'm too old for cartoons, and like that scene, I was like, I'm dead. Like I'm so into this right now.
Dead, fam.
Yeah.
I do this too. Like, I didn't know anybody else did. It's in my head, but now it's on the screen.
Exactly.
The other fourth wall breaking scene is like at the end of Act 2 when it catches back up from the prologue.
Yeah.
And David Spade starts arguing with himself about how to narrate his own story.
It's just it's such a good movie. It's so quotable, and like when I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about this, all I keep hearing in my head is La Llama supposed to be dead.
Nice Spanish puffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanish puffs. It's often when I'm like, hit him on the head to Jonathan.
Wait, about what?
Definitely not about our child.
I was gonna say. I was like,
not our kid.
Like, we gotta get him to sleep. How are we gonna get him to sleep?
Cusco's poison.
I think I was trying to like get out of going to work the other day, and I was like, I've been turned into a cow. Can I be excused?
You're excused.
Anyone else? No?
In that second wall break that you were referring to, like where he was also saying like it's okay to have some alone time too, and then like looking back on that, I'm like, like back then I didn't like, oh, this is sad, but I didn't think like, oh, that's actually a coping method.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
What? So I don't know. There's just a lot when you revisit things too.
For sure.
I also think it's interesting this movie is rated G because like people will go on about things you can get away with in movies now compared to back in the day. But like, when you actually look back on it, like the ratings board is a lot more prudish now than
for sure.
at any point. Like, I feel like this would at least be a PG now, because of all the people be worried about all the violence, quote unquote, in the movie.
Yeah.
I know. We have to pick movies for the preschool to get to watch sometimes, and I constantly am like, oh, we should watch this, and I'm like, oh wait,
actually,
that panther scene might be a little scary.
No,
for
I was
kids.
gonna say, I remember that being terrifying.
So instead we'll watch Moana, where a giant molten lava being tries to murder the two main characters.
Or, like how about
it's defeating.
As an adult,
like Brave Little Toaster, that's a good family film.
No,
Brave Little Toaster in this. I keep seeing them, both of them on Disney Plus. I'm just like, scroll past. Nope. Like, don't even let Bennett see it. Just be like, that one.
Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
Exactly.
It can't hurt you if it can't see you.
Yeah.
That's the weird, like, I feel like, speaking of Shrek was the first non-Disney movie in a long time that wasn't, maybe ever, is like completely horrifying.
Yeah.
Because any non-Disney movie in like the 80s, 90s.
They were bad.
It's like really like.
Because it was all Bluth, right? Or
Don Bluth.
Don Bluth. Yeah. And he just he's a Nightmare Factory. Who I love. Don't get me wrong.
As an adult, yeah, but like.
Oh no! Also, as a child, those films, like, I mean, Secret of NIMH fucked my shit up.
God,
like,
so scary.
my therapist has made so much money off of me for that
Little
film.
Nemo or whatever that.
I think that was also Don Bluth.
Yeah, that
Probably.
I literally can't even talk about that movie sometimes without being terrified, because I was so scared as a child.
If it wasn't Don Bluth, it was like Don Bluth like
Junior.
associated or somehow his studio had a hand.
Well, the thing that's weird about that one is I'm pretty sure a good majority of it was actually done in a Japanese studio.
Oh, there you go.
And then it was brought over and localized, and the script was rewritten, and then the dub was done. And then it had almost like nothing to do with the original. Not Finding Nemo.
Or if you've seen the what's that new Guillermo del Toro film, The
Shape of Water.
Grinding Nemo.
So Nemo's Grand Adventure, whatever it's called.
So yeah, Little Nemo's Adventure in Slumberland. It was
That's another problem.
Yeah.
Way too long of titles.
way too long of a title.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
But it was supposed to be a big budget showcase of Tokyo movie Shinsa Ko's animation style.
Really?
And it was supposed to be like this big like genre, well, not genre, but like international crossing thing where it was like it was going to be huge there. It was going to be huge here.
Big in Japan and also.
Yeah. And
Checks
also, but then like.
Did they have like how much of the tentacle related stuff did they have to cut out or?
So much of it. And I would say like 1982. Yeah, a lot of it.
Checks out.
I forgot about this one. The only thing I'm like, oh, but I've seen this. I know I have.
Oh,
I
it's terrifying.
I see the flying squirrel, and I'm like, I remember the flying squirrel, but I don't remember anything
Yep.
else.
And that same
So here's
squirrel.
the thing: is that we went through and we kind of rewatched it.
Yeah.
By fast forwarding to find the part that scared me.
Yeah.
I can't find it. Like something
Ew.
about this movie.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I hate that.
I can find the movie, but I can't find what terrified me. And I'm like,
You can't find it, but it can find you.
Right. And I'm like, why did this movie scar me so badly as
Yeah.
a kid? Like, it's boring, actually. But
I think just it's
they either deleted something or
they very well may have in any sort of like re-release. But I mean, I think it's just that, again, just paying credit to just like how much the Disney aesthetic really shapes like what we think of films, like just the fact that everything's so bright and colorful, but still can deal with like pretty, adult themes. Bambi goes to show that like they just have that market just on lock and had for so long for so many reasons.
Isn't Cats Don't Dance?
That's a Warner Brothers, I
freaking
believe.
love
Yeah.
Cats Don't
That
Dance.
is also
fucking love that
I
movie.
will fight anybody who doesn't like that film.
Yes.
So boring though.
Are we gonna fight right
Get
now?
out of here.
Do I need to fight
Fuck
you?
off. It's great.
Watching cartoons doing jazz dancing is not
hell
exciting.
yeah.
It's so great.
my
It's
jam.
so
I
good.
was-
It's got
I
good
was super
music.
about that movie when it
I'm
came
about
out.
it.
No.
You know what? You and Kyle can go sit in a corner for hating my childhood.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's interesting though that you bring that up because there's a very specific time and place in my life that those movies were like on repeat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Constantly, because
Yeah.
that's all we had was those VHSs.
Yeah.
And we're like, want to watch a movie tonight? I don't know. I guess. Well, we'll pop in either Emperor's New Groove or Cats Don't Dance.
Yeah. And like we like tease about kids nowadays, like watching movies on repeat, but hell, we did that shit.
I do that shit. Are you kidding me? I literally watch the same four
many
things
less
on
options
Netflix.
than we have now streaming services.
Yeah.
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 I mean, now I can watch Frozen and Little Mermaid and Emperor's New
the
Groove
problem
and
is-
all of them, and then we do it all over again.
Yeah, well, like the problem is we have all of these things at our fingertips now, but in our situation, we have a 3.5-year-old pulling the strings of what is going on. So we really have five things.
Five movies. Yeah. Five.
Or
five
you just
films.
look at him and go, "No, it's mommy's time to mommy's turn to
It's mommy's time and we're watching Hook. God damn it.
It's why we now watch Little Mermaid. It's
Yeah.
Little Mermaid's okay because mom was like, "Fuck you! It's my
Yeah.
turn to watch a kid's show."
Yep. But anyways.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Has anybody noticed though, like there are some, I don't, if anybody's on that level, but there are some people that are just all about Disney and that's all it is, right? Where it's just like super into it. And it's
Yeah.
like,
It's like just the brand loyalty or
like where like everything is Disney. Like
Yeah.
they're in their whole house. Like,
yeah.
that's it. Singular.
Past a certain age, it strikes me as a little strange. I'm going to be honest.
No,
Like,
so
there's-
I worked with not one but two of those people at my current job.
Those Disney maniacs.
No, like literally like had plane tickets like purchased for the next like 2 or 3 years for all of their trips to Disneyland and or Disney World. Like came to work every day in a very professional environment with like some sort of like Disney related, outfit on. Like yeah, you have your people that are just diehard
Okay,
fans.
I'm not that bad. See,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
No, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like that's,
I'm fine. I'm
it
cool.
doesn't permeate every single like
Aspect of my life.
aspect of our lives. Like,
I mean, I definitely would.
anything that like
Well, I mean, with how much Disney owns,
I mean, nowadays it's kind of hard not to. It's like, I'm going to wear my Star Wars shirt, Disney. I'm going to wear my Marvel shirt, Disney.
I'm
It's
gonna wear
almost,
my Hello Kitty shirt. Disney.
it's almost like
What?
a passive, like unspoken thing, though,
Yeah.
where they have those just different brands, but it's
Yeah, exactly.
except for when they pointed out in Wreck-It Ralph 2.
yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then you really realize, oh, wow, this empire is vast.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. No, they have their hands in pretty much just all the pies nowadays.
yeah.
And it wasn't
Just fingers.
like that to begin
Just
with.
fingers.
All hands.
oh yeah,
Fingers. There's a-
Disney. We got one pie here that you can finger. we got one left.
Phrasing.
We'll let you finger our podcast pie any day.
For
kids.
we are for sale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Please give us money.
It's either that or become like a mid-level marketing podcast. So
Ooh, hey.
yeah,
Nice.
look at
I got
that.
some nice face creams and knives I can sell you guys. Just go to my website.
Oh, Lord.
Are the knives for the application of the face cream?
Yes.
You put it on like butter, folks.
Didn't you know we're selling Danny Trejo themed?
He's got his own taco truck.
No shit.
Yeah,
I love that.
He has his own taco truck, and then like he came up to Washington to like help showcase it.
Yeah.
And then like the very next day, this is a music festival I was working. The very next day, he like rescued a guy. I was like, Danny
course.
Trejo,
Of course he did.
is like,
He's the coolest fucking person
He
ever.
really is.
Yeah. He can do no wrong in my eyes. He is the Patrick Warburton of my heart.
exactly like
Even Spy Kids 3.
I was gonna say.
Especially
So,
Spy
by
Kids
the way,
3.
do you guys realize that Machete is Machete in Spy Kids? Like it's all one universe.
Yeah.
So Uncle, and when he's the uncle in Spy Kids, that's actually
It's
Machete.
the SKU, the Spy Kids universe.
it's the Rodriguez. Who's the
Yeah.
other guy? Who am I thinking of? Somebody.
I
help
think
me
it's
out
just
here.
Robert
Robert
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
It's the
No,
Robert
there's
Rodriguez
somebody,
Coke train.
There's like there's another
A fun.
director who like does shit with him.
Is there?
I mean,
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, like, quote
It's the
unquote, found
Tarantino.
him.
It's the Tarantino Rodriguez universe. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
I don't think they share it though. I think
No,
they
they
do.
don't.
It's a legit thing. They have like announced that yes,
Have they?
Yeah, their universes are shared. Some
That's
of them.
interesting. Yeah. Well, because I know like the Grindhouse films, but anyways, that's
Yeah, but neither of them want to take responsibility for Once Upon a Time in Mexico because
about that.
Yeah. I remember being excited for that movie until I watched that movie.
which is weird because wasn't that also like 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably again like a little bit like too young for that movie, considering like all I had seen up to that point were like TV edits of is it
Eldorado,
Desperado?
Desperado.
Yeah.
I'd only seen like
The
TV
TNT
versions
version
of
of
it.
Desperado.
Yeah.
So then like later on realizing like all of the stuff that gets cut out when that movie is on TV and
Oh,
it's
yes.
like, oh no, I am too young for this.
but he had a guitar gun case. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's badass. Yeah, like I was
actually, that's the only thing I remember from that movie. I was like, yeah, that guitar keys.
Yeah. So badass.
Oh,
So Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I feel like am I the one who keeps doing this?
We're talking about Mesoamerican like,
Yeah,
representation,
right?
And it's all interconnected.
Exactly.
There you go.
it's
Bring it
David
back.
Spade and Desperado.
the David Spade extended universe.
Folks, the 90s were it was a dark time in the 90s.
It really was. But,
Early 2000s too.
yeah.
Pretty much until there was like a 2-year period in the like the late to early late 2000s,
Yeah.
early 2010s,
The mid
where everything was
aughts.
fine. Yeah.
Yep. And
But it's been a lot. There's a lot of dark.
yeah,
There's been a lot of dark
Things
times.
have changed a little bit.
When you first brought up Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I was like, oh, that's a time. I remember exactly when and where I saw it.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought about it since. So
It's great. I mean, it is a film.
It is there.
It's a movie.
It's a movie that exists that you can go watch on the TV.
Yep.
I feel like that was like the precursor to ruining Johnny Depp's career. Of like he did that, and then he did Pirates of the Caribbean, and he just hasn't done acting since.
Checks out.
I think those are like that was like.
I mean, he's
Well,
acted.
if you define ruining as being filthy rich, I mean,
yeah, again, I mean, Johnny Depp and
see, I'm
David Spade are again laughing all the way to the bank. But
I'm already just like cringing. I'm like, are you a Mexican or are you a Mexican? And I was like,
yeah, Yeah, that checks out.
I'm
That
like,
tracks. No, thank
No.
I am a person that's not going to watch this film anymore. How about that? How about them apples? Yep.
God, yeah, no, like I think that was the kind of the tipping point for when, he just kind of became insufferable.
Yeah.
Because, like, and really, like, other than, I'm trying to think of what it was he did that was, I guess he's just been writing a lot of goodwill from Ed Wood. So for like the last 26 years, he's been,
Yeah.
because like you had Donnie Brasco.
I'm just going to say into the mic, you got to take the wrapper off that salami, my dude.
The wax wrapper.
The wax wrapper that you just shoved the entirety in there.
I don't think that's true.
This is why we don't provide snacks for
I've
the
eaten
podcast.
like 5 of these, and now you're fucking telling me? Yeah.
To be honest, I've never noticed that before, and I've done the exact same thing.
Now
I'm going to shit out a candle and then sell it on Etsy.
There you go for $50.
Exactly.
This isn't like the Rhine Brie. It's not supposed to be eaten. These are like thin Baby Bell covers.
Man, fuck it, they taste good.
I thought it was like part of like the sausage casing.
Yeah, me too. I didn't assume that I had to. Well, there was fucking maintenance involved.
There's like work involved in your snack.
No, fuck that noise.
I've learned something today.
As have we all.
So JP, you might have listened to some of our reviews before. I'm not sure, but around here we have a very scientific rating scale that we use. That
I'm pretty sure that it's pending approval and acquisition by Roger Ebert.
Yes.
Yep.
And I can't remember what her name is now because I don't really pay attention. But whatever George Clooney's ex-wife was called, I'm sure she'd sell it to us for a song at this point.
I could see that. Yeah.
But we do our Clooney scale. It's on a scale of 1 to 10 Clooney's.
A sliding scale of 0 to 10, technically. But
Now, is there an age factor of what era of Clooney we're talking about?
that is again another question that I don't think any of us are equipped to answer at this point.
No, we have not.
Because he has aged well.
Because I think honestly, like I think when the rating scale first came up, it was in regards to Gravity, right? So
Yes, it was.
technically, it's I guess
tangentially.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
We mentioned the movie Gravity existing, and then the Clooney's came out
and
of
then
that.
pretty much that we just rolled with that ever since.
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks,
So,
Harley.
Yeah, one of my many contributions.
But so we use a one. I don't think we've done any zero Clooney's. I think 1 is our is our floor.
That checks out. Again, it's a sliding scale, so
Yeah.
I mean, so far we haven't actually reviewed anything that even comes to that point. I think the lowest we've gone on in something is a 3.
yeah, that's true.
I think I gave Another Life a 2.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, you're right.
The
You're right.
trifecta of terror.
Trifecta of
Yeah.
terror. Terror definitely got down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
so-
thing that I want to know to like clarify this is this full Clooney's or do we have like a decimal system that we can?
No, we have. There's a decimal. There have been 0.5 Clooney's
I
given
know.
to things
I'm
before.
sorry. George Clooney never half-asses anything. He is always full George Clooney. Goddammit. So,
Oh, I thought you were making a Solaris reference.
I mean, I could, but
It could be Clooney, but like related, not actually
that's
George.
true. That's true. That is true.
Yeah. No, our aggregator is pretty good with decimals on there, so it would be interesting to go through sometime and actually figure out
What our average score is.
if you can figure out what our actual basis for our review or ratings are.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? Somebody out there listening who's real good with numbers.
Not me. not the accountant.
You go ahead and you do that work for us, and you let us know.
I use Excel. I use formulas. Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Tweet at us at Moist Boys Pod.
Good Lord.
Did someone forget to close the basement door? Or?
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Shut
Every
the
time.
Folks,
Shut
head
the
on over
cage.
to our Patreon page so we can
Get a babysitter.
Yeah.
make this podcast listenable for all you fine folks out
You know
there.
what? I just figured, we're talking about a quote unquote children's movie, I might as well just have our kid fucking wrecking havoc in the background.
He should be the one giving feedback, considering he's part of the demographic.
So I'll start off with the progenitor of this scaling system, Harley.
Yes.
How many Clooney's for The Emperor's New Groove?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I would definitely. So.
Oh my god! Okay. This is the loudest shit in the
Child's
world.
getting suplex. Give me a sec. Hey, out! Uncle Harley's gonna bust an ass over here. I'll throw a child. I don't care. in the privacy of his own home. So just because actually. Don't want that making it in.
No, it's going in.
I'm already getting enough fire as it is from my last cast. Holy shit. I would say that again, this is just always the issue that I run into personally, just because I cannot think of this film, talk about this film, look at this film without looking at the bias, without looking at it through the bias of seeing this as a kid and it being one of my favorite frickin' movies forever. So I mean. In my heart, this film has a 15 George Clooney's out of 10. But I mean, I'd say in the grand scale of things, that's I can't even really think of anything bad about it. I can't. If you were to ask me, offer one criticism of this film, what would it be? I don't know. I mean, it moves fast. It has great characterizations.
Well, it's only 84 minutes long.
Yeah, no, it gets what it needs to get done real fast. And I mean, it even has a fairly satisfying ending, which I feel for me is just, I don't know, if you can tell a story, introduce characters, and actually pay off this narrative through line, in an hour 30, cool, I'm in. So. I'd say, I'd give this a 9 out of 10 George Clooney. It's probably my highest review, just because it's a classic that I don't think has really aged at all. I watched it this year and I loved it just as much as I did initially. So, and also fucking Patrick Warburton can do no wrong in my eyes. So there you go.
Kyle, Clooney me.
I feel now Kyle's gonna be like, fuck this film.
Shoot, no.
Yeah.
I was having a very similar thought process in that, okay, well, if I'm going to rate it down, I have to think of things I don't like about it. Well, yeah, that's about what I came up with.
Yeah. Find one flaw and I'll be like, yeah, there it is. But
at the same time, though, I do try to rank my movies in an overall, maybe non-sliding scale.
Yeah.
So on that, I'd say more maybe a 7.
Yeah. George. Citizen Kane up top, Geely down below. Where does this film fall?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're constantly adjusting your scale, then what good is your scale? Anyway.
Ouch.
Wow.
Ouch. I am wounded.
It's a strong Disney movie. If I had every single Disney movie in front of me, I'm not sure it'd be the first one I'd choose to watch, but it would definitely rank highly.
That checks
I know
out.
for a fact that my 3.5-year-old daughter would enjoy it just as much as I would. So yeah, definitely a strong element of the Disney library and much stronger than its representation.
Heck yeah.
So 7, George Clooney.
See, no, I feel guilty because I'm the one that brought up this movie, and I'm gonna rank it down. Oh no,
hey, go for it.
No, actually, I was somewhere between 7 and 8. I was like, okay, but I'm gonna, because you went 7. Now I'm gonna be 8.
Okay,
because
that's fair.
Because I can. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's not a movie that I would say is like my top. When I was asked what are my favorite movies, it was the 4th movie I mentioned, I think.
Probably, yeah.
Well, let's now that we've been teased, what are the other one? What are the other
what's your
movies?
top movies?
Okay, so I have the top 2 would go to either The Brothers Bloom, which has Mark Ruffalo. It's a con man caper with Adrian Brody, and Rachel Weisz is the unwitting Mark that actually joins in on their plans, and it's fun.
Directed by Moist Boys alum Ryan Johnson.
Oh,
We'll get into Ryan Johnson.
Would we say
point.
alum?
Is he an honorary Moist Boy?
Yeah, he can come on here. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about him.
I'm sure he's plenty
episode
moist. Yeah.
And then The other one that is another favorite is an older movie. It's The Lion in Winter.
Oh.
It's Peter O'Toole, Katharine Hepburn, and Anthony Hopkins' first movie.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, sold.
Wow.
It's basically Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's all about family dysfunction and great monologues and stabbing each other in the back.
Yep.
And
I think I've
Sign me up.
watched this film, not in its entirety, but like in one of my like intro to film, like way back when in college. And yeah, like it was just heralded as like a perfect film.
I'm glad that when you said an older movie, you went
Actual older
like
movie.
Yeah.
as the old man of the group. An older movie called The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah,
And it's like,
an older
my heart.
film called Avengers Endgame.
An old movie called. There's this old movie called The Dark Knight. Have you heard of it?
Oh wow, really? That's a throwback.
The first Batman movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
see, I'm a little confused because I'm usually the oldest person in the room. So I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at in this group.
What the general layout is?
Oh, we don't give out our ages because
Yeah, we're.
I think I'm the only one who has literally said my age on the podcast.
No,
and I'm pretty sure that's only because
Josh
I've
is-
said your age on the
yeah,
podcast.
Josh has dated himself.
Oh yeah, he has before.
He's
That's
given
true.
his
Yeah.
birth year out.
Yeah, I don't fuck around with that ASL. This isn't a AOL Messenger anymore.
AIM. We've just aged.
Yeah.
You just dated yourself.
That's
But you're not the old man of the group. Don't worry.
Well, it's funny that you say that because like I also was in another podcast that I did was like the age indicator was whether or not somebody knew who Tom was from MySpace. They had a MySpace, but they didn't know who Tom was.
Excuse you, what?
I was
How
like,
do you not know who Tom is?
He's your default friend.
right. He was my only friend
He was your first friend
for a while.
and he will always be your friend.
God bless.
He's always in my top 8.
We all
Really
left Tom
thought-
behind. He was our first friend, and we all left him behind.
Really thought he was on the toilet in that picture for that this whole time.
So where is he in that photo? Because I definitely thought he was like at a whiteboard.
I think he is. Yeah.
Is he at a whiteboard?
I think so.
Okay,
You thought
because I was like, it definitely.
you thought that they put their whiteboards in the toilet?
I don't know if you've ever met an engineer, but like
They carry them whiteboards everywhere.
they were. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Gonna get buried
Some of my
with it.
best thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
Heather Clooney's for
Clooney's.
The Emperor's New
Wait,
Groove.
so JP, yours was 8?
Yeah.
So we have a 9, an 8. No, a 9 is 7 because you're a monster, and then an 8.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely. This is a.
I know I probably like. So like as far as my sliding scale's tough because I just want to give
Yeah.
everything 10s. Like anything we talk about, anything that's worth
You're like,
talking
I love
about.
it. I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly.
Well, you sit
I know,
here and
so
you
I'm, like,
talk
trying
about
to
all
do
the
this-
good things in it. You're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
But that's the thing. I can't. My problem is I cannot think of a single negative of this film. Like other
David Spade.
I mean, outside of the film, but like he's cast perfectly.
He is.
Oh yeah,
Cast
he's
perfectly.
Ace is in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
is. No,
David
he
Spade
really is.
basically just plays David Spade in this film, except for the redemption arc.
It's great. Yeah. So I'm like trying to put it on a sliding scale of Disney movies.
Yeah.
Like, where does this lie on my favorite Disney movies?
Checks
and you know, it's one that I would go back. I will go back to time and time again. I will watch this. I
Yeah.
love it. So I'm gonna go with an 8 as well. I think
Nice.
an 8's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be slightly controversial in my and I'm giving this a high rating. And by what I
Yeah.
mean by like controversial is that in saying like I would go back and watch this movie, like I would go back and watch this movie over like The Lion King.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm with you.
It checks out. It checks out.
The Lion King, like you watch it once and you're like, all right, I did that.
I
And
don't
I'm
know. The
done.
Lion King's fucking
Let's go
epic,
to the next
though.
one. No,
I don't know, like
I will watch the music scenes
Yeah.
over and over. I'll listen to
See,
the music, but I don't need to watch it.
my thing is like some of the music is just like not for me in The Lion King.
And here's the thing: I loved all of the musical numbers in this film.
All two. Of
Yeah, all
Both
two of them. Both of them. They
Yeah.
were the same song.
Yeah,
Bookending the movie.
it was great.
them. Kyle definitely thought there was no songs.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I made the joke, I also think I didn't remember that there were actually songs. So.
The Emperor has a groove.
Yeah,
y'all.
that's
He's
fucking-
got
I
a
guess
theme
that's
song.
true.
Like he's got a theme song. The only the downside to like this movie is that
David Spade.
no, like it's not even going into like more David Spade jokes. But like the movie is just like the entire movie just feels like a cocaine high.
Yeah.
Where just like it just rides it for the entire runtime.
It tracks so fast. Like,
Yeah.
it really, you
It
don't
does not feel like a long movie.
No.
Like I
Because
know
it's only 88 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly.
like I know it's not a long movie, but it doesn't feel like 88 minutes either.
No.
Like
Yeah. But then as soon as the credits roll and you just smash to black and then like the credits start rolling and it's that like
Terrible.
schmaltzy ass Sting song that they were swinging hard for that Oscar and they just missed the mark with it. And I think that possibly is why Disney like tries to bury this movie because like the movie is so up and so fun. And then you have that like juxtaposition of just like the slowest fucking like
What
I
is
cannot
that
get out
song?
of the theater fast enough song.
I don't even remember.
I don't even know the song.
I absolutely have
Can-
repressed that memory.
No, I remember like Sting was in it, but I was like, what is the song?
Yeah, Jonathan, can you sing us a few bars?
It's
Wait. So you just said Sting was in it.
the song.
The song.
Okay, but he didn't do like a voice, right? Like he wasn't.
No, he wasn't like in the movie.
Okay,
or
like he
anything.
wasn't a guest. Okay, I was just
No, he just wrote the song for the movie. Or
Okay.
I think wrote the song for the movie, but it's called My Funny Friend and Me.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think it was a holdover from the previous version that wasn't a David Spade madcap comedy where it was more of a semi-serious, more culturally accurate thing.
And so
And then-
like it has it is supposed to be that like from Potch's point of view of like his funny little weird llama friend kind of thing, and it's just like it just doesn't work for this version of this movie like at all.
I'm like reading the lyrics right now. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
But you don't pay Sting $2 million and then just throw it away.
Yeah. But I mean, that could have been like maybe like the second song on the credits run.
Like, so, yeah, you like
perhaps.
you.
No, you know what? I don't know any of the songs on the credit runs. I watch this movie, it gets done, and I'm like, all right,
Well,
off.
and that's the thing. Like, I think for me, just growing up and watching films, like watching animated films, like I just always assume that the end credits film are always going to be garbage, unless it's like just recapping like the actual musical cues or themes throughout.
Yeah.
So
Well, so like what Disney usually does is, I mean, this isn't a musical, so they can't really like take a swing at that. But like they'll do like
the actual artist's version of the song that they wrote
of
for
the song
film.
instead of the cast version,
like Elton John's.
Yeah, or
where,
like
yeah.
I don't remember who they got it, but like the one from Aladdin, I think was Luther Vandross and somebody.
Yeah.
All I can hear in my head now is Slaughter Race. Slaughter Race.
But like this, they didn't have that option with this, so I feel like
Yeah.
what they should have done was just have that Tom Jones track start again,
Yeah.
and then do like an animated graphic credits for a while.
Yeah, like they
And
usually
then,
do.
like they do, and then like have that play out for a couple minutes, get people just like, okay, it's time to get up and get out, and then you
And then really fucking
like,
bum them out. So anyone who's
really
like,
bum 'em
anyone who's
out.
just like kind of squatting in the theater, like get the fuck out.
Yeah.
this
But, like,
place
so
is no
that's-
longer for you.
In the VHS version, though, they really made sure to front sell it and say like, "Hey, stick around for the end of the movie because it's Sting."
Oh no!
And they had him in studio.
yeah.
And then Sting walks out into an empty room.
oh,
It's Dune all over again.
But I think there was a very subtle emotional depth, though, with the relationship with, John Goodman's character
Oh, yeah.
and David Spade's character. And I think that the song does still fit the perspective, but as far as like the overall tone of the movie, not so much.
yeah. And so like that being said, that's not anything I can say about the movie itself because the movie is still great.
Yeah. It'd be like having like a Tom Waits song at the end of like Oliver Twist. Doesn't really fit the theme, but like, yeah, I mean, it's still a fucking banger. Like, I'll listen to it,
But yeah, like it's everything within film. Like I love it. And yeah, like I'm gonna go 8.5 Clooney's in this one, and just kind of split the difference a little
Clooney
bit.
doesn't half-ass anything. Monster.
And then okay,
There's no such thing as half a Clooney.
Yes,
I'll
there
do-
is. Calm down.
So we'll say it's 8 George Clooney's and 1 Rosemary.
Oh, I'll take that.
There you go.
I thought you were going to make a David Spade reference because he's short.
Because he's short.
It was right there in front of me.
God.
To go off on Sting for one more brief tangent, this was before Desert Rose, also, I believe, right before.
Possibly right before. Well,
I feel like that
might
was-
have been 99 actually.
Was it?
Might have been, yeah.
Might have been coming off of that where it's like, hey, he's got a big hit.
Because I think that was like the album that like Disney was like, oh, we need to get this guy. 'Cause he's like a hit maker right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dark period. I try not to remember most of that time.
Yep.
And you get somebody who can write like some of the most like upbeat, poppy, like reggae infused like beats, and then you just have him like
do
Sing a
his version
ballad.
of Candle in the Wind.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm giving this 8 Clooney's.
Nice.
It's a good. I think this is gonna be top of my Disney list. Like not having. I don't have kids, so like
that you know
I have
of.
no. Oh yeah.
There's always that one. That one fateful night.
There was always those other
at the
10,
cabin, 10 miles out from that lake at Santa Fe. God
Harley,
damn.
too specific.
I was gonna say, that was
Sorry,
really
wait,
specific.
what?
Yeah, but not having any kids, I don't find much occasion to watch Disney movies. But if I were to watch a Disney movie, this would be the one.
Yeah.
Harley's giving me a look like I'm not a grown ass man.
I mean, as someone who's always watching cartoons, like I guess I'm not really the person to ask, but
There's like this is not the top of my cartoon list, but of Disney.
I mean, that was my perspective to coming at this. It's like if I'm gonna go back and watch like a Disney film, it's like which is funny because it's usually like the deep cuts. It's like it's a Goofy movie. It's like all the films that maybe aren't necessarily like that like pure like classic Disney, but I think just grabbed kind of the cultural, I don't know, just kind of the cultural and like social vein at the time, and just kind of ran with it and just kind of embody what that time period was for me. And I think that definitely is what this film is.
Yeah,
for the early aughts.
For the marketing question, when we're talking about like the demographic, like, do you think that they were trying to stay with the kids that grew up on Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast? And
I think
that's what Disney is always trying to accomplish right now.
Mm-hmm.
They know that millennial generation is really going to be a huge market for them for always. And I think that's what they're really doing.
I think just everything nowadays, they're trying to market still to the new viewers, those new kids, but they're trying to make sure that the millennials are still watching it.
That's why you remake every single animated movie again, is because you'll pull in all the people who grew up
all
on
the adults
it.
that take their kids and basically only pay that money, but then also create a whole new generation.
Yeah, so they're trying to appeal to us so that they can hook a new gen.
But it doesn't feel that way with like, say, like Bambi, like our parents.
Yeah,
you know, like they didn't try to stick with them.
Oh no. I think, and that's the thing. I think this film and just this time in general is when we started to see that shift in a lot of media and just the entire concept of like the easy nostalgia money is when I think this kind of happened.
Well, I was gonna say millennials themselves in general are super nostalgic, more so than any.
Oh, okay, boomer.
Shut up. More than any other generation really is. That we're
Sorry,
more
Kyle.
nostalgic, and so can you comment down over there, sir? You're not that funny.
I'm fucking. Yeah.
But we're the most nostalgic generation that's been around for a long time, and so it's like Carly said, it's easy to pull in that nostalgia money, and the fact that we were part of that generation that first really started. We got to see all of our movies in theater, and then we got to have them on VHS, and then we got to have them on Blu-ray, you know, on DVD, and then Blu-ray, and it's really easy to make money off of.
We
So
are like the consumer that was literally built in a factory for these kinds of companies.
for this stuff, and so it's really easy.
We are Disney's test tube babies.
Yeah,
heard
we
it here
are.
first.
Whereas like Snow White and all that, those are like a timeless.
Yeah,
They're timeless, but they're also, you know, it was a big deal, and they didn't get to come home. So, you know, Snow White and Bambi, that stuff, like they got to see it in theaters, and it was a special thing. But we got to see Aladdin, and then 9 months later we got to own it, and it was in our homes. You know,
and
so
there's a reason why everything you see from the age of 7 to 12 is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And so when you're able to rewatch it over and over and over and over
It just
in that
becomes the
age
best thing
period,
ever for
it's
always.
much stronger than, oh yeah, we went to see Snow White that one time and that was cool.
That's why I always enjoy watching Requiem for a Dream. Because I watched that film when I was 7.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where's the connect?
I don't.
Where's the? Come on,
I knew
Harley.
I have now decided I actually don't want to talk about that anymore.
It speaks a lot about your childhood, maybe.
Yep.
Carly, we've told you this is not your therapy session.
So I know. I'm
Not
sorry.
why we're
I'm
here.
paying somebody for that.
This is my therapy session.
Yeah. Get in line.
Another thing about this movie specifically now, I think is also still very relevant with the next generation, that because we were told with OK Boomers and whatnot is that we're very self-centered, right?
Yeah.
That we're,
I mean, it's true, but
Yeah.
at least for me.
but even further, I don't know if this is just like a generational, like, oh yeah, the kids these days like are even more like
They all
And-
just need participation trophies.
self-involved with their own stuff. But this movie in particular says like it's okay that there's more than just you
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this. So
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been the Moist Boys podcast.
Better go ahead and smash that like button.
Sure, if you want to.
Hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications.
Give us 5 stars on iTunes.
Yeah, that one. Just do that one. Follow
Do
us.
the one that's real.
Do the one that's real. Follow us on.
Give us a 5 on Yelp. Yep.
5
Follow us on Instagram at the Moist Boys Podcast.
Are we not on Yelp?
Not yet.
I don't know how
Not
things
We're
work.
not on Yelp yet.
Fuck.
Yeah, thank you, Harley and Kyle, for being here. Thank you to our special guest, JP. Is there anything you want to, I don't know when this is coming out, if, I don't know. We'll put this out soon.
Oh, if it's bad.
If there's anything you want to plug for people, what do you want them to,
Oh, yeah.
what do you want them to do?
yes, all the things. So if you want to be as cool as Jonathan says the kids are these days,
Ooh.
realarttacoma.com will have all of the information of that venue and that space to experience live music, like maybe even seeing a band.
A
That
good
I don't
old
know.
trusty.
I was gonna say, are we going to mention or no?
We're gonna go-
I've mentioned the fact that,
Okay.
like, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
Get to see a good
he's
old
definitely
He won't
rusty
shut up
baby.
about it.
Yeah.
Shut up about it.
If you're interested in more music stuff, I do have my own podcast, postradiorecords.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm around.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks,
you.
everybody, for listening.
Thank all of you.
And we will catch you again next time.
Goodbye.